Iloilo se pili e sui ai le aso le whaatautonga o le kovana ma le sui kovana. Tau mawhai le sui au ao mo se fuafuanga mo tangata anu o le territory o lo ngā lului office o le federale. Whaamaunia le maota o le sinate whaatono le office o le tupe whaasua a le atunu. E whaatalo whātu Amerika Samoa lau whaafunga i linitu lau le afiafi e ala inisi o whaapoponga o tala mai lau KVZK TV. Wa iai nei se pili tau whaaofi le senate e sui ai le aso e whaatauto ina i le afionga le kovana ma le sui kovana i le mai anga o whainga filifilinga le atunu ina ia solo le lei tau walumanga a le whainga malo fou. O le pili o le asui ai le aso o le whaatautonga o le kovana ma le sui kovana mai le aso o le whaata oto mai tutono le whaavai a le atunu vaenga lua manga 5 o le tula fono. O le aso tolu leo le masino Januari i le awa uli, i le aso se fulu le masino Januari i le tau le se fulu lua i le awa uli. E peo ni sile fia le tūlanga o lo iai nei, e whaatino whaatasi whaatautonga o le kovana, sui kovana ma sui fo o le fono whai tula fono. O le mafuanga fo i lea e le awai iai le mamalu le fono, i le whaamoe moe o le afionga le kovana ma le sui kovana, ono o le tutuso o le taimi, e tā watele le awai uma o vaenga o le taftolu o le malo, i le whaamoe moe o le whainga malo fou, whaapea fo i mo sui o le fono. Sa whaalia le finangalo o le afionga le sui au Amerika Samoa i Washingtone, e tusa ma le mata upu e tau i le whaamalo o loina, o nisi o tangata whainga luenga, o lo ngā lulua i ngā luenga, federale. O se tasi nei o fuafuanga o lo o whea ngai ma le sui au le mamalu le atunu o lo ngā lulua i ofisa le federale. Ina ia le aise a whianga o ala atu ngā luenga ma vanoa i le fuafuanga a le Presidente Trump. Ina ia whaititia tangata whainga luenga o le federale. O lea wha moe o le tuina lea o lea vanua i tangata whainga luenga. Ina ia wha maa vai mai ai mai ala atu ngā luenga. A tutonguina o lato livi se ia o le maasino se te mo le tausanga nei. O lo whaai lua e le afionga iawi whaatali lana fisosoani e mawhaio na o whaina mo le mamalu le atunu o lo ngā lului ofisa o le federale o lo itotono le territory. I se tusi mawhaio na i tusia i ulu mo matanga luenga whaapea ofisa le malu tili Amerika e whaamalamalama i aitu langa o le whainga tau na sa ilia nis tangata mai fafo e ngā lulue i nei. E le ngata i lea ai mawhaio na whaawhainga luenga peo tātou tangata i nei ofisa a wā o lo au mau tutono le atunu. O lo baba ai pea i le tūlanga o le nei mata o po mo aso i luma. Nunu yaso le lei mai lau KVZK News. Sa whaalia le mafuli o finangalo langolanga sua o afionga senatoa e fulufitu mo le sunga le whaatonu ua talo sangaina le afionga le kovana mo le ofisa o le Budget Program Planning and Budget le sunga ya se sula fepulea i Macmore tufele. O le sunga le whaatonu ya se sula fepulea i Macmore tufele o lo umia to mai maanga vai le ngata mai o onga ai whapea fo ngā luenga e ngafa matupe ma le whaanga yuina o ngā luenga le malo i le fuafuaina le lei o le se leni e whetaui. O le ato finga o le e whaasosoaina o tupe le malo e tāua tele ina ia le aise whaale tonu ma ia solo le lei e ala le tanga i mamao ma le ata mai o whai unga le sunga le whaatonu pe atula i mai ita ia le ofisa o le tupe whaasoa a le territory. Nunu yasu le lei mai lau KVZK News. Mai a tātou tala mai Samoa, sa whaalia le afionga le palemia o Samoa, ia fia me Naomi mata awha e whapea, ele iai se whaatangana e whaiai le sa minister o tupe, le afionga ia mulipola ana rosa ale molio se malilienga manisi o kampani mai seina. Sasa unoa whaamalamalama le afionga le palemia e tusa manisi o la fonga o lo whaasanga ia te ia whaatasia i mali lafo sa whaatuina e whapea ua le o tue whaatuatuina ia e avea mata o le atunu o le whaaluaina lea o na avea lea lafo e te tono le palemene. I lana mai tau atu o nei la fonga e mai tangata ili umi I taimi tonu o whainga polkiti ma o se vala tele malana tautua o ato le fasifu tausanga I to tonu le pale mene I whainga upu whai ale malo. O se tasi o mata upu sa ia wha amala malamaina o le malanga o le afionga ia mulipola ana rosa ale mulio o Isaina ma whai eitu o ngā tala ma kampani o le nātunu e au noa ma se whaatangana po se silafia le kampineta le atu langa o se fuafuanga sa whaia ina ia fōlinga o lai aloa ia e kampineta peitai e le ai. Nonu yaso le lei mai lau KVZK News. O si mai lau whaafonga ma lau mai moa I talo le tau ma le tai mo Amerika Samoa. O se whaiunga nā o talo le nea fiafi mai lau KVZK TV, whaafitai tele Amerika Samoa lau whaatasi mai, manuia tele lau whaasausaunga tau whaase fua. Bill to propose change of sworn-in day for governor and lieutenant governor. Congresswoman Aumua Amata offers assistance to workers in American Samoa working for the federal. Director of the Office of Budget Program, Planning and Budget fully confirmed by Senate. Talo falava American Samoa and welcome to your evening news here on KVZK TV. The Senate introduced a bill that aims to amend the statutory provisions governing the official dates of the governor and lieutenant governor of American Samoa's swearing in, ensuring a seamless transition of executive authority.
According to the proposed measure, American Samoa's revised constitution, Article 2, Section 6, mandates that the legislature convene newly elected members on the 3rd of January at noon to commence the legislative session. Local law provides that the governor and lieutenant governor are sworn in on January 3rd at the same time as newly elected and appointed legislature members. While the Constitution sets specific dates and times for the legislature's swearing in, the local statutes determine the timing for the governor and lieutenant governor's inauguration. The bill notes that these scheduling conflicts prevent the leaders of the territory from being able to attend and participate in one another's ceremonies, and the attendance and participation of the legislature at the inauguration of the governor and lieutenant governor are significant, as they symbolize unity, mutual respect between the legislative and executive branches. Furthermore, the legislature's participation at the inauguration represents a unified commitment to serve the people of American Samoa. It reflects the cultural emphasis on coming together during pivotal moments in our territory's history to acknowledge shared responsibilities and uphold leadership harmony. The ceremonial gathering also embodies the spirit of respect, which is essential to the Samoan culture. The bill emphasizes the Samoan traditions of leaders gathering for legislative meetings and community governance to discuss beneficial decisions. And the legislature's role in the inauguration highlights the values of partnership and collective stewardship in Samoan culture. This measure proposes amending the law to schedule the governor's swearing-in ceremony on the 10th of January at 12 p.m. This change allows adequate time for members to participate in this significant event, reflecting the joint commitment to the community. The adjusted timeline ensures proper preparation and public recognition of the inauguration, facilitating attendance by key legislative representatives. Joyeta Fengay Mali with your news on KVZK.
Congresswoman Uifaatali Aumo'amata has outlined her plans for affected federal workers in American Samoa as grant funding cuts become a reality.
In the press release, Congresswoman Uifaatali Aumo'amata announced that she will begin casework for federal workers in the territory who have been impacted and will reach out to agency heads to advocate for their rehiring. The Congresswoman then urged the affected federal workers to contact her office immediately so they could start casework for them by obtaining the necessary privacy release. After that, she can write to the agency heads and advocate on their behalf, emphasizing that they have very few employees compared to federal employment nationwide. Amata is also seeking details such as their job titles and job role descriptions to explain better that finding qualified local workers for these positions in remote American Samoa cannot easily be replaced or replicated by off-islanders. She understands that businesses often face a critical shortage of workers due to our remote location, and that she will communicate our unique situation to each agency head. Amata said the local federal employees and their families were caught off guard, noting that there is a genuine concern whenever there is uncertainty about salaries, and it's a tough time. She said for the first time in a long while, the government is experiencing a contraction similar to what the private sector occasionally goes through. However, she will urgently address the government agencies to inform them of the exceptional circumstances facing each of our federal employees whose jobs might be at risk. Furthermore, Amata acknowledged the ongoing changes in government aimed at making it more efficient for everyone, primarily by eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse, and improving the operation efficiency of government services. However, any cuts should be fully justified and not just about cutting for the sake of cutting. In the same press release, the Congresswoman also provided a budget update that the likelihood of a short-term government shutdown is relatively low and that more changes are still ahead, and the government cannot continue with pandemic-era trillion-dollar budget deficits. These enormous deficits put government services for everyone at risk and ultimately lead to fiscal disaster. Instead, the most critical funding and services, particularly Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, must be prioritized so that the federal government can continue supporting the people of American Samoa. Joyeta Fengay Mali with your news on KVZK.
The Senate has unanimously endorsed the governor's nomination of Mrs. Sesula Fipulea'i McMoore Tufele as director of the Office of Budget Program Planning and Budget. The vote was 17-0.
The acting budget director addressed a series of senators' inquiries during her confirmation hearing before the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee last week. Senate President Tua'olo Manaiafruan noted Tufele's extensive academic credentials and pertinent work experience in financial management and government operations. During the session, Tua'olo raised a critical issue regarding the number of government employees currently supported by federal grants, particularly in light of the substantial funding reductions implemented by President Donald Trump. Tualo inquired about the potential impact of these funding cuts and precisely how many American Samoa government employees might be at risk of unemployment. McMortefele, who indicated that she only had served in her role for 1 week, stated that she did not possess immediate access to that information, but assured the committee that she would obtain and provide it promptly. Senator Utu Silapuasa, chairman of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, underscored the importance of her role as budget director in ensuring compliance with established budgetary laws. He expressed concerns regarding previous administration's tendencies to diverge from approved budgetary practices and urged the nominee to consult government leaders on adhering to the legal budget framework. Utu contended that adhering to these guidelines would facilitate constructive collaboration and mitigate conflicts between the executive and legislative branches. Senator Tongyola Tulafono expressed his appreciation for the governor's decision to appoint qualified individuals from the territory to leadership positions, emphasizing the significance of local expertise in governmental roles. Senator Mangalei Longvi'i Mangalei, a former budget director, acknowledged the complexities associated with the position and encouraged the nominee to prioritize promptly processing approvals within the budget office. He noted that extended delays, such as 3-week turnaround for paperwork, may suggest inefficiencies that could impede effective government operations. Throughout the hearing, the nominee expressed her sincere gratitude to the senators for their invaluable guidance and pledged to heed their recommendations. She also acknowledged Governor Pulali'i Nicolau Pula and Lieutenant Governor Pula Matala Ai Jr. for entrusting her with this significant responsibility and noted the contributions of her predecessors, including Senator Mangalei. Additionally, she praised the dedicated staff within the budget office, highlighting their integrity and collaborative spirit, which she believes are essential for successfully fulfilling their duties. Joyetta Fengai Mali'i with your news on KVZK.
In our news from Samoa, the Prime Minister Fiame Naomi Mata'afa revealed that former Minister of Finance Mulipola Anarosa Ale Molioo did not receive cabinet approval to enter into agreements with 3 Chinese cryptocurrency companies.
Samoa's Prime Minister Fiame Naomi Mata'afa made several revelations while condemning the speeches delivered during Thursday's debate on a second no-confidence motion in Parliament. She described these speeches as bereft and substance as well as shallow rhetoric. Despite facing verbal attacks, Fiame maintained a calm demeanor, reflecting on her political career and dismissing the accusations as empty and lacking depth. The Member of Parliament brought forward the second motion of no confidence against the Cabinet and Prime Minister for Ngangay Maunga No. 3, Lauli Lewatia Schmitz, who is the chairman and leader of the FAS party. However, the motion was ultimately defeated. In response to questions from the Samoa Observer, Fiame stated that if the claims made against her had any real substance, they might have affected her. Instead, what was heard was shallow rhetoric with no substance. Her response highlighted her extensive political experience, which marks 40 years in the field this year. Fiame noted that when the MPs insinuated that she didn't know how to run the country, she couldn't help but think to herself, and I quote, "Oh my, they're new to the political arena. That's the reality," unquote. Not one to shy away from direct rebuttal, Fiame continued, and I quote, "If they had accused me of theft or of taking someone's spouse, I would have been affected," unquote. She also pointed out that many attacks were personal rather than political, noting several issues that have caused dissatisfaction among her former cabinet ministers. Fiame referenced a controversial matter involving her former cabinet ministers, explicitly mentioning the Member of Parliament for Palauli No. 1, Mulipola Anarosa Ale Molioo. This MP had traveled to Hong Kong without cabinet approval to participate in the launch of 3 cryptocurrency companies, including the Samoa Digital Asset Exchange and Samoa Stock Exchange, and had her photo taken with the emblem of Samoa in connecting with a deal to establish 3 stock exchange companies, all without cabinet approval, according to Fiame. Jayeta Mali'i with your news on KVZK.
In our news from the region, Cook Islands MPs spent over $350,000 on overseas travel in the first half of the 2024-2025 financial year. A significantly increased budget allowed further expenditures and calls to upgrade MP travel classes.
Documents released by Parliament in Cook Islands show that 11 members of Parliament incurred over $130,000 in overseas travel and allowance expenses during the second quarter from October 1st to the 30th of December last year. In the first quarter from July to September, the expenditure was over $200,000, bringing the half-year total to over $250,000. The initial budget for MP travel and allowances, local and overseas, was $450,000, but it increased to $900,000 in the supplementary budget passed last month. Cook Islands Prime Minister Mark Brown was the top spender in the second quarter, with expenditures totaling $32,000. Of that amount, over $20,000 was spent on his visit to Baku in November of last year for the United Nations Climate Change Conference, or COP29. Opposition leader Tina Brown was the second highest spender, accumulating over $27,000 with 2 trips, followed by Minister Vane Mokora, who spent over $23,000 on 4 overseas trips. MPs increasing travel and allowance expenses have received widespread public scrutiny following the revelation that the total overseas expenditures for the 2023-2024 financial year reached $659,000, a significant increase of approximately 51% from the previous year. Over $700,000 was allocated for members of Parliament's travel and allowances, local and overseas, in 2023-2024 financial year. Despite concerns, the travel and allowance budget for the current financial year was increased by nearly $500,000 in February. This brings the 2024-2025 MP travel allowances spending to over $900,000, a 27% rise from the previous year. During the supplementary budget debate last month, the opposition members, while supporting the increase, asked the government to consider upgrading ordinary MPs to premium economy when they travel. Joyeta Mali'i with your news on KVZK.
Please stay tuned for your weather and tide report coming up next. And that ends tonight's news from your KVZK TV. Thanks, American Samoa, for joining us. Have a blessed evening.